Every day, you essentially pay your dues by doing the harder thing when it's the right thing to do.
And I always think about, how we can be more efficient with our time. Think about a Formula One team. This is what I always think about. These are at the cutting edge of high performance. And think about a pit stop. Every single nanosecond matters about how quickly they can change those tires, get someone in and get someone back out again. And okay, that's at the very extreme end of the spectrum. But think about the accumulation of those 20-second, 30-second gaps throughout a training day, a training week, a training month, a training year. These are really where the competitive advantages lie, because when you go to high performing environments and high performing clubs, you'll notice that there isn't much empty time. If you watch one athlete instead of a whole group, you'll notice that one athlete is always moving. There's always activity. They're always doing something, so that's off the bar, straight to the chalk up, do an exercise, back to the bar. It's continuous. And I really encourage coaches to do that, to watch how one athlete works as opposed to just thinking there's loads of activity happening because there's a group.
Yeah.
It's really, if you've got 10 kids, of course it's going to look like there's activity. You've got 10 bodies, but just watch one of them and see how much one of those athletes is actually getting done. And it will paint a different picture most of the time. So, teaching them to be efficient, the bar never allowed to be free for more than a few seconds, not repeatedly going to the chalk bucket every single turn if they've only done a few swings, these kind of, I hate to use the word rules, but that's what they are. They're kind of, they're rules in place to make sure that you get the most out of that time. I think it's super important. Yeah, I just find that, we all know that you've got to build a house on solid foundations, but most people are, they're trying to build the hot tub before they've even put the concrete down. They're thinking about let's get to the double backs and the exciting stuff and the release and catch. It's like your kid can't giant yet. Is the head in and the giants, are the arms straight? Are they shifting the wrist properly? Like all of these things, which are, details, but they accumulate, they matter. And so, yeah, a massive competitive advantage, this one, in a day and age where actually no one's got any secrets, because let's be honest, everyone knows what everyone's doing.
Sure.
If anyone's got a drill, they want to share it. So everything's being shared. It's like we know what happens in every corner of the world technically. It's just easy stuff to access. So if that's no longer a competitive advantage, what is?
I absolutely. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say it's going to be these the things that have been around for ages. Being patient. It's ironic because it's like the best way of expediting learning is actually to go slowly. So rather than rushing early and then slowing down when they hit puberty and beyond, we're doing the opposite thing. We're going slow to start with in order to speed up later. And that's where I think it's a massive opportunity for so many clubs. So I've asked an athlete to do this and they've given me something else. Okay, cool. Right. What's next? What's the next kind of tool that I've got in my toolbox? And it could be something as simple as literally just saying to them, I loved what you tried to do right there, but on your next go, I just need a little bit more of X, Y, and Z. Okay. Sure. That to me is a very different way of packaging up me basically saying, keep your head down. But if you're just saying you throw your head back, keep your head down, look at the floor, over and over and over again, then yeah, of course, that's probably not going to work with the athlete. If you say, I love that. That was awesome. Just on the next go, just see if you can look at the floor for a little bit longer before you flip. Now, I've delivered that same information, but I've done it in a quite engaging way. I've told them that I love it, even if I didn't. Sometimes, tell a little white lie just to get them on board and create that rapport. But it's packaged up in a much better way, a way that's been received well. Now, if the athlete fails to do it again, which probably is going to be the case because, failure happens a lot in gymnastics, I'll just be honest with the athlete. I say, look, that wasn't quite what I'm looking for. Okay, come with me. Let's just do an exercise to make sure that you really understand what I want you to do with your head. And it might be a simple preparation or drill, might be a standing back tuck. And if they get it right, straight away, I'll say, yes, that's exactly what I want. Okay, did you feel how your head was down as you were flipping over? What did that feel like? I'll be honest, Dave, it's not complex. It's just talking to them like they're human and probably working a bit harder at it because it takes a lot more energy to do that than it does for me to just say your head was out, keep your head down. No, that wasn't right. Aren't you concentrating? Why aren't you listening? That stuff is quite lazy coaching. And me taking the time to nurture the relationship, do an intervention with the athlete, you think about the words that I'm using. It's Harder. That's just the reality of it. It's harder. It takes a lot more conscious thought.
Yeah.
Multiply that by 10 kids. That's challenging.
Exhausting. Yeah.
That's exhausting, but it becomes your default approach to coaching, which is where I'm at. Like I don't have to necessarily think hard about, and I'm not there scratching my head to go, right, how can I be positive today? Because you embody that as a philosophy.
Sure.
And if you embody that as a philosophy every single day, then that just becomes the way that you coach. It's not that you have to necessarily consciously think about it anymore. It becomes subconscious. A lot of clubs are trying to do too much, and they're trying to do too much because they've got so many options these days of what they could do because of the way that we're sharing videos and social media and content. We are.
There's a gymnastics drill buffet is out there.
There you go. It's a great way of putting it, and it's fun, right? Because it's like, wow, I want to do that. That looks cool.
Ooh,
That looks cool. That looks cool. That looks cool. Yeah. Yeah. So you end up doing everything. And actually all the drills are actually great. There's a lot of amazing stuff being shared on social media, but you don't need A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. You just might need A, C, and E. And you can get to the same point. In fact, the better prepared the athlete is, the less drills that you need to use in the first place, because they've just got good fundamentals. They move well. They've been taught slowly and technically. You don't need a zillion drills, right? So, we've talked a lot about addition by subtraction, making a program better by taking stuff out as opposed to thinking about what do I need to put in. And that does seem to be the reality for me for a lot of clubs that I travel and work with, and athletes. Like, they're just trying to do too much. And because of that, they do a lot of things at an average level, whereas they'd be better off, let's say, taking a third of the program away, even 50% of it, and working on that final 50%, but being able to raise their standards on it, because you get good at whatever you spend quality time on. If you can't spend quality time on something because you're doing too many other things as well, everything gets compromised. I mean, we know that as business owners. The gym owners listening to this will know that, because they're coaching as well as managing a gym and their staff and dealing with parents. You end up doing everything badly because you're doing so many things, right? So let's just kind of simplify and reduce, and just give your athlete, just leave the bare bones of what they need, not what you want them to do, not what looks nice, not what's like attractive and shiny, but what the athlete actually needs. You'd be able to cut an awful lot of stuff out. And again, it comes down to experience, like knowing what a fluffy exercise is and what an exercise which is necessary. And when I say fluffy, I mean one that just looks cool, but it's just totally unnecessary. And the internet's full of them.
Yep.
And unfortunately, as coaches, we tend to be magnetized towards stuff which looks cool. But the reality is you just don't need much of it. And I think actually a lot of people, they'll watch me coach and they'd be quite surprised about how basic it is. It's just like, well, this isn't complex. Yeah, it's not. I've the smarter you become, the more you simplify, and the less stuff that you do.
Yep.
As opposed to when you're first starting out, you want to do everything. You do everything bad. Yes. Now, a Muhammad Ali quote that I'd like to share with you here, I think is a great one, is that it's not the mountain ahead that wears you out, it's the stone in your shoe. And I always think about that. It's not the complexity of the movement or the big double back somersault that's going to be the problem. Okay, that the athlete can handle. The stone in the shoe is their inability to be able to keep their legs tight. It's their round off, which isn't giving them enough acceleration to get to that part of the skill. There's normally these little stones that are just kind of holding us back. And it comes down to that remedial coaching again, that we spend too much time fixing stuff. All of these concepts, of course, are linked. So physical first, make your athlete strong, go slow at the start, and they will be able to go far on their journey afterwards.
Yeah,
we've got to have that knowledge of understanding what a high standard is, right? Clarity precedes mastery. But if you don't have the development, if you haven't had the personal growth to understand those things, then how can we hit that benchmark? If we don't know what it takes to win or what gold standard looks like, we're never going to achieve it. And I think the reality is, and there are a number of reasons behind this, but a lot of coaches that want to be involved with high performance have never been in a high performance environment. They think about it, they dream about it, but they are in their four walls all the time. And that happens because of the way that gymnastics is. It's very time intensive. We don't have an awful lot of time to travel and to go to other places, but really that's what we need to do. If we want to be high performers in gymnastics, we will need to go to an environment which is already high performing. We need to, learn, well, what's the intensity of these athletes? How quickly are they training? What reps are they doing? What exercise selection is it? How do the coaches communicate to the kids? Like, that's surely going to be the best way of actually learning, is actually being in that environment, seeing, breathing, and hearing it. And so number 8 is just about growth. Just continually invest time, even if it's just a small amount every single week. It accumulates, just like a small amount of handstand time. It's going to accumulate over a day, a week, a month, and a year, and your competitive advantage will be massive.